percentages, or percents for short. Percents are actually fractions, but these fractions always have 100 as the denominator, hence the meaning per 100. Example 1. Find the value of 30% of $40. Percentage is parts per 100. So 25% means 25 parts from 100. To find the value of 30% of $40, we have to convert the 30% to decimal form and then multiply times 40. 30% in decimal form is 0.30, and 40 times 0.30 is 12.00. Make sure you put your decimal in the correct place. So 30% of $40 is $12. Example 2. Find 75% of 300. First, convert 75% into decimal form. That's 0.75. Now multiply 300 times 0.75. That gives you 225 as your answer. So our 75% of 300 is 225. Example 3. Find the value of 56% of 175. First, convert 56 into decimal form. That's 0.56. Now multiply 175 times 0.56. That gives you 98. So 56% of 175 is 98. Example 4. Find the value of 64% of 17.54. First, convert 64% into decimal form. That's 0.64. Now multiply 17.54 times 0.64. That gives you 11.2256. Make sure to put your decimal point in the correct place. Now round 11.2256 to the nearest hundredth. That gives you 11.23. So 64% of 17.54 is 11.23. Fractions to percents. How do you convert from fractions to percents? There are two easy steps. First, divide the fraction and then multiply it times 100. Why 100? Well, the literal meaning of percents is per 100. And the denominator for percent will always be 100. Therefore, you have to multiply times 100. Let's look at some examples. 15 by 25. 15 divided by 25 is 0.60. Now multiply times 100. To multiply times 100, move the decimal point 2 times to the right. That gives us 60. So our answer is 60%. 3 by 4. 3 divided by 4 is 0.75. Now multiply this times 100. 0.75 times 100 is 75. So therefore your answer is 75%. Example 3. 7 by 8. 7 divided by 8 is 0.875. Now we have to multiply this times 100. To multiply times 100, just move your decimal point 2 places to the right. That gives you 87.5. So your percentage is 87.50%. Now let's go into the last example. 3 by 5. 3 divided by 5 is 0.60. Now let's multiply this times 100. move your decimal point 2 places to the right. That gives you 60. So your percentage is 60%. Decimals to percents. Converting decimals to percents is actually relatively easy. All you have to do is multiply times 100. Why 100? Well, the literal meaning for percent is per 100. And the denominator for percent is always 100. So you're always going to multiply your decimal times 100. Now let's look at 0.17 converted to a percent. 0.17 times 100 is 17. But let's look at an easy way to multiply times 100. All you have to do is move your decimal point 2 places to the right, because there are 2 zeros in 100. That gives you 17, so your answer is 17%. Now let's look at 0.53. 0.53 times 100. Move your decimal point 2 places to the right. That gives you 53. 53% is your answer. .87 converted to a percent. Multiply 0.87 times 100. To do that, just move your decimal point 2 places to the right. That gives you 87. So 0.87 converted to a decimal is 87%. Now 1.75 converted to a decimal. Multiply 1.75 times 100. To do that, just move your decimal point 2 places to the right. So that's 175. So 1.75 converted to a decimal is 175%.